joking, Vice Mayor Agan, I am ready to tackle the budget. No? I hope that we give and take. No? I will not die yet because God has a mission for me. My dear friends, thank you for your prayers. And I assure the Vice Mayor and the Mayor, I will be your constructive partner, and let us see what's good for the city. But in the meantime, I'll take care also of my health. I'll just fulfill the assignment of Compadre Bong, you smile. So even when I was in pain, I tried to smile eating, hamburger. Because when you have dialysis, you can eat. No, you can eat. So I ate. My dear friends, there is something I learned. When you are prepared, you have nothing to worry. And now, I am not worried because if God extends my life, it's okay. If I meant only for today or tomorrow, that's okay. But the most important thing is we are at peace with God and we are at peace with one another. I'd like to thank the two congressmen, the congressman from the 1st District, Juo, who sent the message through a mile, and also Congressman Manix, who sent the message of get well soon. So I am well, but I need your prayers so that I will do the will of God. Doing the will of God will not be easy for me because I have to take care of my diet. No more salt, no more Maggi, because it's bad for my health. Ako basta mayroong Maggi lang at saka itlog at saka kanin, okay na. But it's bad for my health. But my dear friends, when it comes to the work here and my love for you, we may disagree with one another, we might quarrel, but our respect for each other is always there. So I came here in the spirit of gratitude to the Almighty God and to the Blessed Virgin Mary and to all my colleagues who prayed for me. Nobody would think that I would have the strength of character to come, not even in the wheelchair. But with God, nothing is impossible. Even the doctors were surprised why my findings went down immediately. I said, I leave it to the Blessed Mother. If I am not meant for politics, then my bishop is waiting for me to go back to the priesthood. There's no problem, but I am prepared to do the will of God. In the meantime, the work as a city councilor. After this session, I'll go back to have my medical procedure, another dialysis. But in the meantime, you are in my prayers also. My gratitude and love will always remain. Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Thank you very much, Attorney Kenneth, for the certification you sent. I received it yesterday. And for the certification, the original signature, I'll look for it in my residence and I'll give it to you. You were looking for the signature of the 11 councilors. And to the 11 councilors, I would like to thank you for your strong support. And we pledge to cooperate constructively with the mayor for the good of the city, so long as there is proper dialogue and proper talk with the division heads. God bless us all. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Monsi. Get well soon. Pro Leader, next item.
Next, item F, resolutions of commendation to Dr. Reynaldo C. Navasilla, Field Manager, USAID Project Protect Wildlife, for his tremendous and important contributions to the city's environmentally sustainable development and to the United States Agency for International Development for its tremendous and important contributions to the city's environmentally sustainable development through the project Protect Wildlife. May we recognize Member Jimenez?
I understand it's the Attorney Kenneth Atalin. The City Secretary will read the resolution.
Resolution number 1330, a resolution extending to the United States Agency for International Development the people of Zamboanga City's profound thanks and gratitude for its tremendous and important contributions to the city's environmentally sustainable development through the project Protect Wildlife. Whereas, needless to say, every generation has a responsibility to the next generation to preserve the rhythm and harmony for the full enjoyment of a balanced and healthful ecology. The right to a balanced and healthful ecology, which for the first time in our nation's constitutional history is solemnly incorporated in the fundamental law in the landmark case of Oposa versus Factoran. Whereas the city of Zamboanga has initiated several environmentally friendly initiatives aimed at protecting and preserving the biodiversity in the city. On the other hand, in its effort to curb international trafficking of wildlife in 2016, the United States Agency for International Development identified the city of Zamboanga as one of its international partner cities in developing mechanisms to address this growing transnational problem. As such, USAID provided the city of Zamboanga with the much-needed technical assistance in coming up with strategies to combat wildlife trafficking by bonding together government agencies, non-government organizations, and other stakeholders through a covenant of cooperation and the creation of the Zamboanga City Anti-Wildlife Trafficking Task Force. Whereas this supposed microscopic project has eventually evolved into a much more holistic and macroscopic approach by addressing other equally important environmental concerns and issues in the city. The strong partnership between the city and the USAID in the realm of environmental management, protection, preservation, conservation, and sustainable use of natural resources had led to several innovative and unparalleled projects currently adopted and implemented by the city government. Whereas such initiatives had also led to the development of environmental policies through the strengthening of legal frameworks and mechanisms, notable of which is when on January 14, 2020, the Sangguniang Panlungsod of the city of Zamboanga enacted Ordinance Number 519, entitled the Environmental Code of the City of Zamboanga, a voluminous local legislation which basically charts the environmental policy directions of the city. The USAID Project Wildlife, together with the USAID Surge, Strengthening Urban Resilience for Growth and Equity project, was also instrumental in providing technical assistance in the crafting of a proposed ordinance supposedly creating the Fisheries and Coastal Resources Management and Development Office. This measure aims to further strengthen the city's fisheries and aquatic resource management by establishing a city department exclusively focusing on the matter. Other environmentally related legislations are following suit and in consonance with the city's Environment Code framework. Whereas other than the institutionalization of the legal framework for environmental preservation, conservation, management, and sustainable use of natural resources, the partnership of the city and the USAID Project Wildlife had branched into several other equally significant environmental efforts, notable of which are the crafting and the approval of the following roadmap instruments. Number one, the city's Forest Land Use Plan, in conjunction with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources Regional Office 9. Number two, the management plans of the Ayala and Manikaan watersheds. Number 3, the city's biodiversity management framework plan. Number 4, the city's biodiversity strategic and action plan. Number 5, the updating of the management and development plan for the Great and the Little Santa Cruz Islands protected landscape and seascape. Number 6, the city's central mangrove forest framework plan. And lastly, number 7, the Once Islas Participatory Coastal Resources Assessment. Whereas other significant and related activities conducted that are too numerous to be enumerated, Honorable Algian Eding expressed that worthy to stipulate among others are the enormous contributions of the USAID to the city's agri-fishery sector, hereto made as an annex to this resolution. These two, she averred, are landmark achievements deserving of the august body's commendation and acclamation. Whereas as the Project Wildlife is winding up its affairs here in the city, it is but just proper and appropriate that this resolution be passed, extending the august body's sincerest thanks and gratitude to the USAID for its immense partnership and contribution to the city's environmental programs. Now, therefore, upon motion of the Honorable Cesar Jimenez, co-sponsored by Honorable Members Benjamin Gingona IV and Algian Eding, jointly and severally seconded by all members present, it was resolved, as it is hereby resolved, that the Sangguniang Panlungsod of Zamboanga hereby extends to the United States Agency for International Development, its field site manager and staff, the people of Zamboanga City's profound thanks and gratitude for the numerous significant environmental projects, initiatives, and technical assistance it has provided through the years. Thus, noteworthy of praise, recognition, and acknowledgement, transmitting this resolution to the City Mayor, to the Office of the Environment and Natural Resources, the City Planning and Development Office, the City Budget Office, and all other agencies and departments that contributed to the success of all the endeavors spearheaded by the USAID for information and appropriate action. Carried unanimously, I certify to the correctness of this resolution, Kenneth Vincent Baldua, Secretary to the Sangguniang Panlungsod, attested the Honorable City Vice Mayor Romel Agan, Presiding Officer.
Later. Okay. Para
Resolution number 1331, a resolution extending the City of Zamboanga and its residents' profound thanks and gratitude to Dr. Reynaldo Navasilla, Field Site Manager, United States Agency for International Development, USAID Project Protect Wildlife, for his tremendous and important contributions to the city's environmentally sustainable development. Whereas Doc, as he is fondly called, is a diminutive man in size, but his massive contributions to the environmental efforts of wildlife, a biodiversity project conducted in Zamboanga City, funded by the United States Agency for International Development and in conjunction with the City of Zamboanga. Whereas as USAID's point man for this project, Dr. Navasilla was very instrumental in developing plans, strategies, and mechanisms for the city's environmental policies, directions, and programs. All these are guided by the mandate of the fundamental law that every generation has a responsibility to the next to preserve that rhythm and harmony for the full enjoyment of a balanced and healthful ecology. He was the guiding light in a seemingly dark tunnel, He was steadfast, environmental guy who led more in deeds and less in words. Whereas through his staunch and resolute leadership and immense knowledge and experience in environmentalism, the Sangguniang Panlungsod of Zamboanga was properly guided in enacting Ordinance Number 519, entitled the Environmental Code of the City of Zamboanga, a voluminous local legislation which basically charts the environmental policy directions of the city. As a project site manager of the USAID Protect Wildlife, together with the USAID Surge, Dr. Navasilia was also instrumental in providing technical assistance in the crafting of a proposed ordinance supposedly creating the Fisheries and Coastal Resources Management and Development Office. This measure aims to further strengthen our fisheries and aquatic resource management by establishing a city department exclusively focusing on the matter. Other environmentally related legislations are following suit and in consonance with the city's environmental framework, thanks to the guidance of Dr. Navasilia. Whereas prior to the above mentioned and its effort to curb international trafficking of wildlife, in 2016, the USAID has identified the city as one of its international partners in developing mechanisms to address this growing transnational problem. As such, the USAID provided the city of Zamboanga with a much-needed technical assistance in coming up with the strategies to combat wildlife trafficking by bonding together government agencies, non-government organizations, and other stakeholders. As the field site manager of Protect Wildlife, Dr. Navasilia was instrumental in coming up with a covenant of cooperation among other government agencies, non-government organizations, and other stakeholders, which led to the creation of the Zamboanga City Anti-Wildlife Trafficking Task Force. Whereas the strong partnership between the city and the USAID in the realm of environmental management, protection, preservation, conservation, and sustainable use of natural resources had led to several innovative and unparalleled projects currently adopted and implemented by the city government. Other than the institutionalization of the legal framework for environmental preservation, conservation management, and sustainable use of natural resources, the partnership of the city and the USA Project Wildlife have branched into several other equally significant environmental efforts, notable of which are the crafting and the approval of the following roadmap instruments: the city's forest land use plan, the management plans of the Ayala and the Manican watersheds, the city's biodiversity management framework plan, the city's biodiversity strategic and action plan, the updating of the management and development plan for the Great and the Little Santa Cruz Islands protected landscape and seascape, the city's central mangrove forest framework plan, and the Once Islas participatory coastal resources assessment. Whereas Dr. Navasilia likewise initiated other significant and related activities that are too numerous to be enumerated, the Honorable Adjian Eding manifested that worthy to stipulate, among others, are his enormous contributions to the city's agri-fishery sector hereto made as an annex to this resolution. These too are landmark achievements, and all these would not have been made possible had it not been for the hard work, leadership, vision, guidance, and endeavor of Dr. Navasilia. Whereas Dr. Navasilia owns a doctorate degree in public administration from the Ateneo de Davao University School of Business and Governance, he also earned units in Doctor of Philosophy in Environmental Studies at the Miriam College, a post-baccalaureate diploma in Real Estate Management from the De La Salle College of St. Benilde, units for diploma in Urban and Regional Planning from the University of the Philippines, Mindanao, masters in Participatory Development from the Ateneo de Davao University Davao Medical School Foundation, units for Masters in Business Administration from Cor Jesu College in Digos City, and a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering degree from the University of Mindanao in Davao City. Whereas, his professional background and accomplishments contained in his curriculum vitae are too numerous to enumerate. A biographical book is needed to complete them up. Indeed, Dr. Navasilia is one giant who has truly given so much and assisted the city of Zamboanga in planning and implementing environmentally friendly initiatives, plans, and strategies aimed at protecting and preserving the biodiversity of the city and towards the sustainable use of natural resources so that future generations too shall enjoy Mother Earth's bounty. Whereas as the Project Wildlife winds up its affairs here in the city, it is but just proper and appropriate that this resolution be passed, extending our sincerest thanks and gratitude to the USAID and most especially to Dr. Reynaldo C. Navasilia for the immense partnership and contribution to the city's environmental programs. Now, therefore, upon motion of the Honorable Cesar Jimenez, co-sponsored by the Honorable Members Benjamin Gingona IV and Aljian Eding, jointly and severally seconded by all members present, it was resolved, as it is hereby resolved, that the Sangguniang Panlungsod of Zamboanga hereby extends the city of Zamboanga and its residents profound thanks and gratitude to Dr. Reynaldo C. Navasilia, Field Site Manager of Project Protect Wildlife funded by the United States Agency for International Development, for his numerous and significant environmental projects, initiatives, and technical assistance provided through the years. May the good Lord continue to bless Dr. Navasilia as he continues his sojourn to ensure that our beloved Mother Earth bequeaths upon all of us and the generations to come the blessings of life. Resolve further that the august body likewise extends its profound thanks and sincerest gratitude to Engineer Clarissa Rendon, Attorney Edward Dong Lorenzo, and all other staff and personnel of the United States Agency for International Development who assisted the city in developing a sustainable environment for the welfare not only of the generation of this generation, but also of the generations to come. Resolve furthermore to transmit this resolution to the City Mayor for information and appropriate action. Carried unanimously, I hereby certify to the correctness of this resolution, Kenneth Vincent Beldua, Secretary to the Sangguniang Panlungsod, attested the Honorable City Vice Mayor Romel Agan, Presiding Officer.
May you request the members to join us for the presentation of the resolution to Dr. Navasilia.
Congratulations, Doc Ray. Daghang salamat.
Salamat.
Buenos días, con ustedes todo. Muchísimas gracias. Our Honorable Presiding Officer, Attorney Ming Agan, the classmate of my colleague, Attorney Dong Lorenzo, members of this august body, good morning to all, and especially to City Councilor Cesar Jimenez, City Councilor Aljihan Iding, City Councilor BG Gingona, City Councilor Kim Ilago, and City Councilor Jerky Velasco, who have witnessed all the activities we have conducted here in Zamboanga, especially in line with biodiversity conservation and all other initiatives that we have partnered with the city government of Zamboanga. Of course, needless to say that we have done a lot in this kind of partnership, but there were also undertakings that were not mentioned also in the resolution, but I'd like to mention it for information of this august body, that aside from all those litany of management plans that we have completed, we also have completed the Pasunangka Natural Park Management and Development Plan, a 5-year management plan for our protected area in Pasunangka, and very recently we're able to expand the said plan from being a 5-year to a 10-year, because that is now the requirement of the law, Republic Act 11038, which requires all management of protected area should be 10-year. So we have completed that process because that's very important requirement for our nomination of our Pasunangka to be inscribed as ASEAN Heritage Park, which the mayor is also very interested to pursue. And in that regards, we are already completing all the requirements for our nomination of our Pasunangka Natural Park as a heritage park in the ASEAN region. So that will be a big honor to the city if that will happen soon. And of course, we are very glad that we already have confirmed the presence of Philippine eagle in our Pasunangka Natural Park. And I'm very thankful to Councilor Cesar Jimenez for filing a proposed ordinance declaring the Philippine eagle and our very own Zamboanga bulbul as a flagship species of this city, and that will be our pride of place once we are able to declare it as our flagship species for priority conservation measures. And likewise, I'm very proud that this Philippine eagle has been already declared by our Pasunangka Natural Park Management Board as a flagship species of Pasunangka, and I hope this will be also declared by the City Council as a flagship species. And more than that, also I'm very thankful for Councilor BG Gingona for being able to file a resolution or an ordinance declaring the Central Mangrove Forest Land as a local conservation area. That mangrove forest land stretching from Arena Blanco down to Mampang, Talon-Talon, up to Kasanyangan. We hope that that will be declared as a conservation area, considering the biodiversity significance of the place being a habitat of migratory birds from other countries, and including our production area of seaweeds and also our mangrove reforestation initiative. And I'm very happy also for the effort of Councilor Aljihan Iding for pursuing those ordinances that we have started to work together at the beginning of the project, and I hope that this proposed resolution of revising our fishery ordinance will happen soon, because this will be our only hope that we can maintain our being a sardines capital of the Philippines. and also being a seaweeds industry growth corridor in Zamboanga Peninsula region. So with that, without mentioning many others that we have accomplished together, my thank on behalf of the USAID Protect Wildlife, which we happen to close already our office here in Zamboanga last September 30. But nonetheless, our technical assistance will continue because our Manila office remains operational until March 2021. So probably any assistance that the city may need in the future up to March 2021, our Protect Wildlife will still be able to assist, from Manila office, assisting our initiative here. Anyway, we still have technical personnel that will remain here in Zamboanga in the person of Mr. Rodolfo Saavedra, si Dol, dati rin siyang sa MyDev, USAID. So siya po ang maiwan dito, no? So meron pa siyang gagawin na trabaho dito, maybe until December. We'll still be conducting a lot of training for our women farmers in Tolosa, in Salaan, and also in Masepla. We have a lot of trainings in the pipeline so that this people's organization in these 3 barangays will have an alternative livelihood so that they will not anymore engage into illegal activities that will decimate our mangrove forest and our forest land, especially in the buffer zone of Pasunangka Natural Park. And anytime soon, we will be turning over our, I think, 0.6 million floating solar seaweeds dryer that will be used by Masepla for their seaweeds production. Strategic planning of our water quality management WACMA of the Environmental Management Bureau, and also a research project with Ateneo de Zamboanga. So I'll still be coming back to do some of these activities. Thank you and have a pleasant day for all.
Thank you again, Dr. Ray and the Protect Wildlife team. Member Jimenez?
Yes. I would just like to inform the distinguished members of the council that the same resolution will be presented by Her Honor the Mayor at 4 o'clock this afternoon to USAID and Dr. Navasilia at City Hall this afternoon. I'm glad Dr. Navasilia traveled by Davao yesterday by land just to be with us today. And as the last words in this recognition, may God continue to bless you always, Dr. Navasilia and your family. Mabuhay po kayo, and muchísimas gracias from the people of Zamboanga City for all the work you have done addressing the environmental concerns of the city of Zamboanga. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much. Chair calls for a 1-minute recess.
Thank you, Doc Ray. God bless you always. Keep safe.
Mag-refer yan lang. Ha? Otro pala. Otro también. Otro pala.
So, quieren sila magkwento ustedes para man-discuss si pwede ba lang kasi ordinary sa community level? No, community level yan lang. So, man new business na nagkita sila?
Oh, yeah.
Mag-refer yan na committee decision, no?
Hindi, siya niya sila.
Este recommending to approve.
So, mag-atap lang po kayo
Gatagdan,
din sa
hindi gatagdan, no, hindi naman. Kami hearing ko, kami
committee
Naman
decision to refer to committee. Takigunti ka dyan, no?
Okay, sige.
Session is resumed. Next item, floor leader.
Item G, reading, approval on first reading and referral. G1, proposed ordinance number 2020-94, entitled An Ordinance Advancing Awareness, Recognition, Appreciation, and Propagation of Zamboanga City's heritage through mandatory inclusion of local history, culture, norms, customs and traditions, as well as sectoral advantages and challenges in elementary and secondary education curricula in the city, and providing funds thereof, or otherwise known as the mandatory teaching of local history, culture, arts and customs, ecotourism, and social and public norms in both the elementary and secondary schools in Zamboanga City, authored by Honorable Rogelio L. Valesco Jr. I move for its approval on first reading.
Seconding members Juan Climaco Elago, Pioc Alavar, Nuño, Vincent Paul Elago, De La Cruz, Jimenez, Atilano, Macrohon, Omaga, Olaso, Gingona. Any objection? The chair hears, and Villaflores also seconding. There being no objection, the same is hereby approved on first reading.
Move to refer to the Committee on Ordinances, Education, and Tourism.
Referred to the several committees.
G.2, proposed ordinance number 2020-95, entitled An Ordinance Granting Cacao Sports and Recreation Center Incorporated a franchise to broadcast live and commercial cockfighting and derbies at restaurants and the like within the Cacao Cockfighting District, authored by Honorable Members Vincent Paul A. Elago and Cesar M. Jimenez. I move for its approval on first reading.
Any second? Seconding members Pioc, Nuño,
Second, Vice.
Kenteng, member Gingona. Any objection? The chair hears none. The same is hereby approved on first reading.
Move to refer to the Committee on Ordinances and Games and Amusement
Referred to the several committees
and Franchise
and franchise
and Barangay
and
Affairs.
barangay affairs. Referred to the several committees. Next item.
Next item, item H, Committee Reports. H1, Committee on Agriculture and Agrarian Relations jointly with the Committee on Fisheries and Aquatic Resources per meeting held on September 23, 2020. May we recognize Member Gian Eding?
Member Edding is recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Committee on Agriculture and Agrarian Relations, together with the Committee on Fishery and Aquatic Resources, had met last September 23 to tackle on the following matters. First, the Zamboanga City Comprehensive Food Security Plan for 2019-2028. Second, capital access for young agripreneurs or Kaya Loan Program. And third, the Convergence Area Development Plan of Ayala District. There are just minor typos, Mr. Chair, if I may do the necessary corrections. On page 1, number 2 items, umenta kita R para manvidle as agripreneurs. Pauta lang le R na word agripreneurs. On page 2, on the issues raised by Councilor Kim Elago, umenta kita word College of before a word forestry. And on page 3, please delete the words double and triple. And on page 5. Na attendance, number 4, it should be written as Dr. Neil Melenchon from PCA. And then the paragraph, Omenta Kita L phrase and item number 3. And then on the number after the first paragraph, the second paragraph, let us delete the phrase to be able to give its concurrence, endorsement, and approval, referring to the Kaya Loan Program, Mr. Chair. With the corrections made, Mr. Chair, I move for the acceptance of this report.
Seconding members 1. Climaco-Elago, Dalipe, Nunyo.
Acceptance pa lang.
Acceptance na lang. Jointly, severally. Accepted.
Yes, if there is no other concerns or questions, Mr. Chair, may I move for the approval of this report?
Jointly and severally
Yes.
seconded.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would personally like to extend my deepest gratitude to Dr. Reyna Vasilia for his contribution in coming up for us to be able to have this comprehensive food security plan. Kaya lang yung umenta no, actually, hable ko the primero, it is through his initiative being our pro bono consultant, pwede entra ka natin ayuda and protect wildlife. Then that's the very reason why last November 16 and 17, 2018, Protect Wildlife had sponsored a strategic workshop in draft para pwede ka man draft LDATO comprehensive food security program, as well as special acknowledgement namin kung Doc Oscar Parawan as our consultant na drafting the Diaton Convergence Area in Ayala District, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much. Doc, maraming salamat po talaga.
Thank you very much. Next item, Florida.
Next item, Mr. Chairman. Item H.2, Committee on Natural Resources and Environmental Protection, per meeting held on September 14, 2020. May we recognize Member Gingona?
Member Gingona is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to everyone. The Committee on Natural Resources and Environmental Protection conducted a committee meeting last September 14, 2020 to tackle several environment management and protection plans. So, Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the committee report.
Second.
Seconding, jointly and severally.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Considering that the matter at hand is very, very critical to the protection of our environment and a key ingredient in achieving sustainable development, and likewise, this is our promise to Dr. Reyna Vasilia to approve these mentioned plans. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I respectfully move for the approval of the committee report, which includes the approval of the Ayala Watershed Management and Development Plan 2020 to 2028, the Manikaan Watershed Management and Development Plan year 2020 to 2028, the Framework Plan for the Central Mangrove Forest of Zamboanga City, the Zamboanga City Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan 2020 to 2028, and the Zamboanga City Forest Land Use Plan 2019 to 2028. I move accordingly, Mr. Chairman.
This will be an omnibus resolution approving all the 5 plans recommended in the report. Jointly and severally seconded. Comment, Member Jimenez?
Just for the record, Mr. Chairman, considering that much of these programs took place during my watch as the chairman of the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources, I take the privilege of co-moving the approval of this report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Please take note,
Chairman. Thank you, Member
Secretariat.
Jimenez.
Jointly and severally seconded. Next item. Right.
Your Honor, this is not part of the report, Your Honor, but it's a very important point that I would like to raise, Your Honor. We just approved the Central Mangrove Forest, Your Honor. If I'm not mistaken, this is the forest mangrove starting from Rio Hondo, passing to Kasanyangan, to Talud-Talud, to Mampang, and to up to Arena Blanco, correct? Chairman Gingona?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
That's the allocation.
Yes, Your Honor. And I'd just like for us to recall that for to be titled under the guise of the NCIP ancestral domain. And because of this, I went already on record, and I was even attacked in the radio that I had a personal interest in these properties. But I would like to use now this occasion that we give a copy of our plan and our forest plan, that one that we just approved, a copy to the NCIP to show that this area that is now being applied for as an ancestral domain, which I'm very, very afraid, once approved and titled, we will lose the central, the entire mangrove. This will become a residential or industrial or whatever. So I take this opportunity, Your Honor, that a copy of this approved central mangrove of, how they call it? What's the entire term?
Framework plan.
Consequent?
Framework plan for the central mangrove forest
Yes.
of Zamboanga City.
We will give a copy to the NCIP with a resolution that the city considers the area as a forest zone and an exclusive biodiversity zone. So that it is, and we are against any attempt to title this property under the guise of an ancestral domain. I move accordingly, Your Honor.
Any second? Seconding members Valesco, Eding, Alavar.
Second.
Comment, Member Jimenez.
Second.
Olaso also seconding.
First of all, Mr. Chairman, have we approved already the approval of what was moved by the distinguished chairman, the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources, which among others
Yes,
included the approval of the Zamboanga City Forest land use. I just want to go on record.
All the
That-
5 plans.
Yes, that under Resolution 344, adopted on February 24 to 2020, the forest land use plan was already approved as moved by this representation, Mr. Chairman. So all we have to do is, insofar as the Zamboanga City Foreign Land Use Plan is concerned, we are just reiterating our approval on the matter for the record.
For the record.
Insofar as the concern of Member Elago, I am aware that pending with the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources, which the distinguished chairman would affirm, the concern raised by Member Tunku Hanapi. And once that matter is discussed, I will be actively participating in the discussion thereof.
We will, Mr. Yeah.
And insofar as the Central Mangrove Forest of Zamboanga City, this plan is already as a result of our pertinent provisions in the Environment Code of the City of Zamboanga. The protection of this mangrove forest of the City of Zamboanga. So, Member Lago, I'm also very much concerned about this. And what Member Hanapi was telling is that the land area of this area there in Mampang and the neighboring barangays are already titled properties in the name of private individuals, which I would be asking the distinguished chairman of the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources to schedule already this matter. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you
Chair.
very much. Any other comments?
Noted, Mr. Chairman.
Objection? There being none, the same is hereby approved. Next item.
Item H.3, Committee on Road Safety and Traffic Management, jointly with the Committee on Franchise, per meeting held on September 16. May we recognize the gentleman from Ayala?
Member
Member
Atilano is
Atilano.
recognized.
Good morning, Chair, Mr. Chair, and my colleagues. This is the committee meeting report on Committee on Road and Safety and Traffic Management jointly with the Committee on Franchise of the Sangguniang Panglunsod held on September 26 at the Session Hall. This is pursuant to SP Resolution 771 dated June 9, 2020 and SP Resolution 884 dated June 24. Now, we're discussed here with the pay rate adjustment, considering that our public utilities has only 50% of each capacity. Then also we address the concern of the colorum. Then, of course, about the tricycle to have at least 2 passengers. This is when the Department of Transportation and Communication announced the reducing the distance between passenger, but the President did not approve it, so we cannot implement that. However, if after October 31, then we will see, and we are going to study whether or not we allow already the tricycle to carry 2 passengers. But considering the increase, the contamination is keeping on increasing, then probably this cannot be done. And then we were talking also about the route plan, which was already issued notice of compliance. However, there are some that we cannot implement yet, awaiting for further studies that the group from UP is ongoing, and we are allowed to make some adjustment, at least 20%. Then we also tackle the bicycle lane. However, out of 10, only 2 attended, so the proponent, Councilor Jerky Balasco, requested for another meeting, and we acceded that meeting will be held at their convenience. They will just tell me their schedule so that all of the 10 will be able to attend. Pero sabi naman ustedes, El Camino Jaton, afuera, Alto Bajo, El Jaton, sidewalk, El Camino mismo Jaton, hindi pa kayo tabla sila arreglo bonamente. So there are 2 recommendations, but before that, I would like to move for the acceptance of this report.
Second.
Seconding. Jointly several.
So there are 2 recommendations to propose resolution addressed to the Department of Transportation and the Tricycle Adjudication Board requesting for consideration with regards to the number of passengers. However, as I said, the President did not approve it, no, yung reducing the distance or the capacity of public utilities. So probably we will just await for the result. And the other one is to have a thorough study on the possibility of establishing bicycle lanes in Zamboanga City. So with that, I move for the approval of this report.
Second.
Jointly and severally seconded. Next item.
Item I, unfinished business. I.1, proposed ordinance number 2019-39 entitled Comprehensive Anti-Discrimination Ordinance of the City of Zamboanga for third and final reading. May we recognize Member Gingona?
Member
Thank you,
Gingona is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to yield my time and give the proponent the privilege of presenting and moving it for third and final reading.
Member Nuño, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before we proceed with your kind indulgence, I would like to say a few words. First, allow me to thank all of you, especially Councilor Sang Jimenez and Councilor B.G. Gingona as chairpersons of Committee on Ordinance and Resolutions. Thank you very much. This ordinance has been particularly special to me, not only as an advocate, but growing up, I was taught by my grandfather and my father to always respect and never discriminate. I would just like to reiterate that the goal of this ordinance is mainly to make sure that our rights be protected. Let me share a short story that I grew up with. During the olden Islamic times, as the Islamic influence grew, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, always ordered places of worship of the non-Muslims to be protected. In fact, he always emphasized respect and non-violence towards non-Muslims. This is very important because it became a symbol for us Muslims to always respect and never discriminate. The first basic quote I learned as a public servant was, "All men are created equal." Again, all men are created equal, which is why the creation of this ordinance speaks volumes. I therefore move for the approval on third and final reading the Comprehensive Anti-Discrimination Ordinance of the City of Zamboanga. I submit.
Well, all members are co-authors in the ordinance. It's jointly and severally seconded. Thank you very much.
Next item, Mr. Chairman. Item I.2, proposed ordinance number 2019-69 entitled An Ordinance Establishing the Zamboanga City Government Industry Academy Council and appropriating funds thereof, including for its first year of operations and for other purposes, for third and final reading. May we recognize Member Gingona?
Member Gingona is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, good morning, my dear colleagues. It is my distinct honor and privilege to be presenting today a monumental piece of legislation. Before I proceed to move for its third and final reading, please grant me a few minutes, Mr. Chairman, to say a few words also.
Proceed.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank my former office mate at the Philippine Senate and now the Executive Director of the Philippine Business for Education, Ms. Love Basiliote, for initially lobbying to me the need to establish a local government industry academic council. Second, I would like to thank the Philippine Business for Social Progress and the Fundación Concordia y Libertad for supporting this legislation. Third, I would also like to thank our friends from other government agencies and other resource persons who one way or another contributed to the refinement of our ordinance. And last, but definitely not the least, to the honorable members of this august body for manifesting and expressing your full support and also understanding the relevance of our ordinance. From the bottom of my heart, muchas gracias. Zamboanga City is an economic hub and investors are gravitated to invest in our bustling city. As a result, different industries have been emerging and expanding. This is followed by the increased demand for human capital to drive the dynamic growth of these businesses. Although we have a large population and a relatively high number of student graduates, there is a widening gap between the kind of student graduates we produce versus the human capital required by our local industries, contributing to our pool of unemployed citizens. Based on some key interviews during our public hearings, it was made known that focused efforts are needed to address this challenge, such as introducing educational reforms and recalibrating our workforce production. Likewise, relevant exchange of ideas between the government, the academe, and industry is much needed. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the creation of the Zamboanga City Government Industry Academe Council seeks to be the key driver of education reforms in the city of Zamboanga and to promote collaboration between the government, the industry, and the academe through the exchange of information and leverage support. In addition, increased industry involvement in the academe through providing actual business perspective and opening opportunities for immersion, on-the-job trainings, and enterprise-based learnings. Also, it shall look to improve the local market information like labor statistics, job projections, and school performance. The Council shall also aim to enhance the partnership of these three key players. My dear colleagues, as what Sebastian Fran had said, at the end of the day, the true value proposition of education is employment. In addition, ta imbitayo con ustedes todo, suporta kita con el cosa ta cree si David Batstone cuando y hablale. I want us to continue to scale and grow over the coming years in education, professional development, and employment to bring about change in people's lives. With that, my fellow legislators, I therefore formally move for the approval of proposed ordinance number 2019-69 entitled An Ordinance Establishing the Zamboanga City Government Industry Academe Council and appropriating funds thereof, including for its first year of operations and for other related purposes. I move accordingly.
With all councilors as co-authors, jointly and severally seconded.
Thank you,
Next
Mr. Chairman.
Next item J, business of the day. J1, deed of donation to be entered into by and between the city government of Zamboanga and the Zamboanga City State Polytechnic College relative to the multi-purpose building and CCSPC gymnasium to be used solely and exclusively to the SPC education purposes and to be responsible in shouldering the expenses in relation to its operation, repair, maintenance, rehabilitation, and sanitation. I move for its approval and authorizing the city mayor to sign the same for and on behalf of the city government of Zamboanga.
Seconding members Villa Flores, Pioc, Nuño, De La Cruz, Valesco,
Second, Anapi.
Anapi, Olaso, comment? Member Jimenez also seconding. Comment, objection? There being none, the same is hereby
J.2, resolution number CCA-BR 00102-2020 of Colegio de la Ciudad de Zamboanga Board of Trustees resolving to approve the implementation of the research manual of the Colegio de la Ciudad de Zamboanga. I move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Seconding members Villa Flores, Pioc, Nuño, De La Cruz, Valesco, Olaso, Gingona, Jimenez, jointly and severally seconded.
J.3, I move for its approval and authorizing the city mayor and the city treasurer to open the trust fund accounts with the Land Bank of the Philippines purposely for the implementation management agreement entered into by and between the city government and the Department of Agriculture under the Philippine Rural Development Project. I move accordingly, Mr. Chairman.
Jointly and severally seconded. May we request the Secretariat to fast track the resolution. I think the City Agriculture is following up the resolution. Member Redding.
And to be clear, Mr. Chair, it should be 3 separate account in trust, Mr. Chair. One for the stipulated na diaton mo with DA, debit 3 aquel, 1 aquel diaton counterpart, 1 estaba na DA, 1 estaba na DL, 1 estaba na World Bank, Mr. Chair. So just to be clear, 3 separate account
Yes,
kel.
takiya.
Please take note.
Takiya kel.
Next item.
J.4, letter of the General Manager of Zamboanga City Water District deeply regrets to inform that the district does not have the necessary funding at present for the implementation of the request under SP Resolution number 1017. Estimated cost of project 7,475,752. Noted and filed, Mr. Chairman.
Noted and filed.
Chairman, may I?
Member Quingona?
Yeah, just a comment lang, Mr. Chairman, comment lang. Yeah, I agree with the note and file, but maybe since the estimated cost of the project, is this the technical personnel lang, no? No. This is the estimated cost of the project, which is amounting to more or less 7.4 million. I was just thinking, Mr. Chairman, what if the city can provide the necessary funds and then the implementation be done by the water district? Baka ansin na they might consider. No? So maybe lang, just a thought, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Well, we can ask the Committee on Infrastructure to discuss that with the Planning and the City Budget Office, if it's
Yes.
possible.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other? Next item, Floor Leader.
J.5, I move for its approval, Mr. Chairman.
Jointly, severally, second.
J.6, noted and filed.
Noted and filed.
J.7, I move for its approval the application for reaccreditation of Talon-Talon Loop Homeowners Association.
Jointly and severally seconded.
New business. K.1, may we recognize Member Perez.
Member
Piok.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the fiscal year 2020 Barangay Annual Budget of Barangay Sibulao and all those who will be submitting on Friday at 5 in the afternoon. I move accordingly, Mr. Chair.
Jointly and severally seconded.
Next, Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of fiscal year 2020 SK Annual Budget of Barangay Zone 3, Barangay Kiniput, and the SK Supplemental Budget of Barangay Maasin and all those who will be submitting on Friday at 5 p.m. in the afternoon. I move accordingly, Mr. Chair.
Jointly and severally seconded.
Next item, K.4, may we recognize the Honorable Josephine E. Pareja.
Member Pareja is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A resolution earnestly requesting Her Honor, the Mayor, to create a second mobile force company to be established within the Zamboanga City area of responsibility to augment the present Zamboanga City Mobile Force Company. Whereas Oplan Task Force Pink Panther, the Oplan Saklob, was established last June 20, 2020 for the operational and administrative management in the deployment of PNP personnel and resources through effective coordination, synergization, and control of focus intervention to address the risk and threats in the city. Whereas Zamboanga City covers approximately 202 kilometers of coastal areas, and due to its vast coastline, undoubtedly, entry of lawless elements in the city is a possibility. These vulnerable areas in the west of the city have been sites of kidnapping and bombing, particularly at Barangay Labuan and Sinunok. Whereas Sakol Group of Islands to the east are composed of 8 island barangays, namely Landangguha, Landanglaum, Pasilmanta, Busay, Tumalutab, Tiktabon, Pangapuyan, and Manalipa, as well as the 11 islands in Barangay Panubigan, has been reportedly used as the staging area and transit points of armed groups and even drug routes from neighboring provinces of Basulta. Whereas intelligence reports stated that lawless groups from the north may utilize the seawater towards Labuan area and its nearby barangays, while threat group from the south will use Sakol Islands and Panubigan in traveling to the city from the conduct of their atrocities. Whereas the Zamboanga City Police Office has to redesign its approach to this task through high-impact crime control and suppression in a move towards a proactive policing that can be provided by the Task Force Pink Panther through the creation of the second mobile force company known as Crisis and Riverine Enforcement Strategy Company, CARES for short. Whereas presently, the established Zamboanga City Mobile Force Company could not properly address and steer the PNP's internal security efforts due to the city's vast rural and urban areas and surrounding coastlines, which may be utilized by lawless elements in their criminal and illegal activities. Now therefore, on motion of Member Josephine Pareja, it is hereby resolved, as it is hereby resolved to request Her Honor the Mayor for the creation of the second mobile force company to be established within the city area of responsibility to augment the present Zamboanga City Mobile Force Company. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Jointly and severally seconded. Next item. Next item.
Yeah.
You want to comment? Okay. Anyway, we're early pa.
Your Honor, I was raising my hand. Maybe I'm just not on a clear view from your end. But I believe that matters like this, especially when these are critical matters involving intelligence and all, should first pass through the Committee on Peace and Order. So I was about to object it, Your Honor, because I will include this matter in our committee hearing. As you know, there is a resolution now being passed relative to the invitation to PIDEA and PS Police Station 11. So we could actually include it in this committee hearing, since the invitation has not been sent yet. Because there are matters that I too, as chairman of the Committee on Peace and Order, need to know. And with due respect, while the intention is good, but it is like a need, there's also a need for the Committee on Peace and Order, who actually is the one that makes the legislation in as far as peace and order is concerned, should also be, with the list of courtesy, be informed ahead of time. Para at least pwede kita kunese trabahain bonamente without even stepping on anybody's committee.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes, a member Pareja.
I think, Mr. Chair, I was just yakambia kumigo as chairman lang del Committee on Peace and Order, pero as councilor daw, konsehal pa tamin yung hasta ara. So I can pass any resolution here, Mr. Chair, but to help our city, particularly as the action officer of the mayor on peace and order. And this is an urgent, Mr. Chair, and I don't think so this needs to be discussed before the committee hearing as bien necesita este, Mr. Chair, and urgent. And I don't think so, Mr. Chair, ay man bypass kita or ya pwede kita pisa de aton uban. And I think chani kita incluido ele na di aton agenda, taliel agenda, and taliel kopya, and siguro ya pwede le de aton good chairman del Committee on Peace and Order. And I don't see any wrong with this, Mr. Chair. Wala eh. Hindi ko nakikita na may mali dito sa resolution. And tumutulong pa tayo, Mr. Chair, as an action officer of the City for Peace and Order, Mr. Chair.
Member De La Cruz.
Your Honor, that is what is really happening right now. Is sometimes there are things that are being done by the other representation that may also affect the position of the Committee on Peace and Order. Remember, the City Council will follow the recommendations of the committee chair of the Peace and Order Council. So wala naman masama. In gusto mo yan, maganda yan. But the thing is, out of courtesy, send it to the Committee on Peace and Order and let us decide. And besides, what should you know that we should not know that you're saying hindi pwede mag-committee hearing? Why should you know? And why we, the ordinary councilors, cannot find out also? If it is talking about security, then it is the right of each and everyone in the City Council to know what it is all about. And that's what I am precisely asking from Your Honor, to please allow the Committee on Peace and Order to also study exactly what is it that you're requesting, and we will call on the personnel that you mentioned. We will request them to come here to also answer, and perhaps we also have our own suggestions and recommendations in as far as that is concerned. You're touching about 11 islands. 11 islands is supposed to be under my turf too as the chairman of the Committee on Tourism. So, you see, with little respect, I am asking from my good colleague, Councilor Pareja, who is well-meaning in as far as this resolution is concerned, to also allow the Committee on Peace and Order to review everything that is being requested, because once this will pass as a resolution coming from the City Council, it should be that the Committee on Peace and Order, especially in critical matters such as this, should have knowledge about, and not just knowledge in black and white, but total knowledge in as far as the intention is concerned.
I do not know, Mr.
wait,
Chair. Yes, just in answer, just a short answer,
After
Mr. Chair.
you, it's Member De La Cruz.
Yeah, I do not know na we have another rule here in the City Council that whoever is the chairman of that particular committee, siya lang ang pwedeng magpasa ng resolution about it. Mr. Chair, the resolution is so simple. Just an additional company of the Regional Mobile Group. I would like to inform this council, uno lang el Regional Mobile Group Company ang kinasuda de Zamboanga, uno lang. We have 2 battalions, no, just an information. Uno el NDLT 11 on the east, uno on the west, ara uno el 74th on the east. Uno lang a Regional Mobile diaton. Now we are asking for another company from the Regional Mobile, from the region itself, to help secure our coastal area. No, itong Oplan Pink Panther, pang coastal area itong security na ito. I have mentioned the 11 islands because that is within Zamboanga City, Mr. Chair. Counting on the coastline of the city of Zamboanga, no pwede yung as apuera el 11 islands because the coastal area of that 11 islands entraw na suda de Zamboanga that we have also to secure. This is just a simple resolution requesting for another company coming from the Regional Mobile Force, Mr. Chair. There's nothing to hide, nothing, but I am saying that no need to pass no need to for the committee level to review because this is just a simple resolution. We don't even know if they will grant it. Just a request to the regional office, and there's nothing wrong, Mr. Chair. We are helping the city in terms of security.
Member De La Cruz, then Member 1 Climaco Elago.
As councilors, we have the right to pass resolution. I beg the 2 councilors if we can sit down together and see what is best. Because there's no difficult thing that cannot be solved. No? So, if not, then we come to a vote if we cannot resolve it. But I think all councilors, have also the right to make resolutions, no? And I also respect the position of our chairman, the Peace and Order Council, I hope that both will have meeting of minds. If not, then we vote on the resolution. I plead, I ask. But if not, then we make a decision. Thank you.
Member Elago. Juan Climaco Elago. I'm just allowing the discussion, although it's already, there was no objection earlier. It's going to
Good morning, Your Honors. This scenario, Your Honor, when I was here, the first time I sat as a city councilor, yung chenete scenario, Your Honor, dueño, si chairman del education, no hay quien puede hacer pasar matters on education, hindi, iyo. Si yo el na sports, no hay quien puede hacer pasar, hindi pasa conmigo. Your Honor, this is dangerous kind of thinking, Your Honor, because maski cosa kita habla, each one of us, siya you sphere of friends and influence, and we get information separate and different from each other. For example, Your Honor, ARA, I wanted to pass a resolution for casa de aquel cocaine bust. Oh, yakeda sugar. If we follow that kind of thinking, Your Honor, I cannot pass that. I think, Your Honor, we should respect, of course, tupaw tamay no chene courtesy ko na chairmanship, but sabi to, initiative is more important. Kay kadakwanan de aton, chene ba disuyo, example, si Councilor Alabar, sorry, John. Alabar. Sila tao, balos bang kalaya, no? Atilano. Si Chene problema, Your Honor, el agriculture na bitali, eleman al sabi. So, tan-raise le dayon el issue. Even, not necessarily, it does not mean na discourteous le con el chairman del agriculture, Your Honor. So, I think, let us allow every councilor this initiative. Si umali na this resolution, hindi ba kita tabota? Tan question lang kita. So, para kumigo, the issue is very simple lang man, to study. Even if the resolution has been passed, the chairman of the Peace and Order can still make a committee hearing in order to find out whether that resolution was relevant or not. So it does not stop him, Your Honor. Para kumigo, give and take lang. Do boxing ba siya? No? Receive kita golpe, pwede tabi supla uno. Pwede tabi.
Member Villa Flores then Jimenez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I'd like to ask the status of that proposed resolution. Did you already bang the gavel for its approval?
Yes, I banged it already.
Did you already bang the gavel? I think there's no need to discuss. You already bang the gavel?
Okay, next item. Next item, Floor Leader.
K.5, noted and file and copy furnished to the City Mayor's office.
8.6.
Ha? Ano yun?
K.5.
K.5 is the letter from Napunong Barangay of Kulyanan.
No, let's not note and file. We refer this to...
Refer to the...
Task Force COVID.
Task Force COVID for consideration.
Both letters, Your Honor.
Yes. I move, Mr. Chairman.
Joint and severally seconded. Next item. Ba't yan na pa new business dyan?
K.6, there's a letter from Jose Genaro R. Yapaison, City College President, requesting the City Council through the Honorable City Vice Mayor to conduct a preliminary meeting on the request of the Commission on Higher Education for an ordinance to approve the local City College project development. Move to refer to the Committee on Education.
Referred to Committee on Education. Next item.
Other business. Other matters.
Other matters.
I have one, Vice.
Yes, we honor seniority.
Yes, just a priority to a senior citizen before I go.
Always.
May those two, I saw two pending resolutions about that very disturbing buy-bus operations, and then all of a sudden, yakin naman asukar. May I know who are the proponents so I could participate?
There are several.
That's very important, Mr. Chairman.
There are several.
Two. The Los Primos.
We will take it up
Los Primos.
as I call the... I want to take it up first. Manuna kita, Kel. Member Vincent Paul Elago and Juan Climaco Elago.
In order.
Los Primos. Contrabando.
May I, Your Honor?
Proceed.
Yes. I'd like to pass a resolution, Your Honor, inviting PDEA, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, Zamboanga, and the Police Station 11 to a committee hearing on October 14, 2020 at 9 a.m. at the SP Session Hall for purposes of clarification concerning the most recent buy-bust operations. Whereas immediately after the buy-bust, reports of authorities alleged that they apprehended suspects with cocaine, but hours later, after PDEA's lab test, it was declared as sugar. Whereas there is a need to put a closure to speculations of Zamboanga citizens on what really happened. There is that imminent need to erase all doubts so that we can all move on and work for better procedures in future anti-drug operations, to include possible legislation from the City Council. I move accordingly, Your Honor.
Jointly and severally seconded. I comment. Comment, Member Jimenez.
Recall.
The matter to my mind is of great importance, Mr. Chairman. If this matter could be attended by a committee of the whole, to hear this matter as early as possible, even this afternoon. Why? We want to know if the report was made by PDEA or PS11, whether this has been approved by higher authorities already, because I know procedurally this kind of report has to be approved by higher authorities. The pleasure of the body, to my mind, we should act on this immediately. We should not delay this. We have so many things to clear in the minds of the people of Zamboanga City. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Member Juan Climaco Elago.
While Councilor Kim is moving, Your Honor, may I? Okay.
Juan Climaco Elago.
Your Honor, I have a similar resolution, but this time I was really thinking, Your Honor, because this is beyond City Council, and there is a big possibility those police might not attend or the PDEA will not attend, just like the Samselco, hindi ka naton abuya. I was really asking for the Cab Krami itself, Your Honor, the Chief PNP, to do under his office the investigation, Your Honor. However, considering that the chairman of the Peace and Order told me that after daw a committee hearing, pwede kita se pasa el dimio. So I'll give in, Your Honor, we'll just hindi, parte del ano. So we'll have a committee hearing as soon as possible, Your Honor, and I will reserve my resolution, Your Honor, after the committee hearing, whatever is the result, and it is adverse, it cannot explain, that's the time, Your Honor, I will pursue my second.
Your Honor, may I just run?
Member Elago, then Emedia.
For your
Member
information, just to inform you also that I've consulted with the chairman of our drugs committee here in the City Council, Councilor Jerry Perez, and this will be jointly Peace and Order and the Committee on Drugs.
Yes, Member Jimenez.
Yes. At best, what we can do right now is we request immediately the copy of the report be submitted to Her Honor the Mayor. And once the Mayor receives a copy of the report of the such findings by the agency concerned, for a copy to be furnished us or the Mayor herself to send us for our immediate guidance on the matter. I really want to see whether the report was already approved by higher authorities. That's the most important thing, perhaps under these circumstances, Mr. Chairman. We have to act immediately on this matter. Now, if we call a committee hearing, we are not even equipped with the proper report, because we may be disturbed on such report, but officially, we do not have a copy of that report. We have to have a copy as early as possible. That should be the priority right now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, Member Elago.
Comment, Mr. Chair.
Member Elago first.
No, Your Honor, for your information, I queried downstairs when will be the soonest that we will be able to hold a committee hearing, and I was informed that it will be on the 14th. So 14th in the morning. So October 14 pa pwede.
Why 14?
Makikita available ano. So maybe we could also request already for a report coming from the agencies concerned and follow through with our query, Your Honor.
You can sponsor the resolution addressed to the two agencies, PIDEA and the PNPPS 11, for copies of the official report so that the committee will be guided during the conduct of the hearing.
Yes, Your Honor. Subscribing to the line of thinking of Councilor Jimenez.
Yes, the committee will take that up. Let us dispose first of the resolutions addressed to the agencies asking for official copies of the report.
Okay. Then, I move accordingly, Your Honor.
Jointly and severally seconded.
Then a resolution, Your Honor, earlier resolution requesting for a committee hearing, a meeting with the two agencies concerned as soon as possible, but we cannot do that because the only available time is on the 14th.
Why 14?
Friday.
We do it this week.
Friday.
That was what we were informed when I asked my secretary to go down.
Halika lang.
So we have to put the date already.
Mr. Chair.
Is it, Your Honor, is it okay whoever will have it on Thursday na mabiya lang ustedes sa this committee hearing? Okay? No, because it will take time. We're Tuesday now. That thing has to be drafted, and maybe if the people are not here.
Friday this week.
Friday? Okay, so be it. So let's change the date. Friday morning.
Then let the committee chair schedule the committee hearing. Kabar MBL lang to invitation.
Okay kasi okay man sila, sir, presiding officer, okay man sila. So, manano lang kita, asya kita kunakel ASAP, Friday. Para change ita schedule 9 o'clock in the morning. Mabe man sila dila mga committee hearing.
So let's dispose of the resolution authorizing both committees to conduct a joint hearing on the matter.
Second.
Mr. Chair, is this a committee of the whole to be chaired by the Committee on Peace and Order or just a committee on a committee level?
There is a suggestion from Member Jimenez to make it a committee of the whole.
Yes,
to
precisely.
be-
There's a suggestion coming from the member Jimenez that it should be the committee of the whole to be probably
presided by
the
Peace and Order.
yeah, by Peace and Order, Chairman.
Maybe
Your Honor,
maybe
it's all
recognize
right.
Member
By the way, we
Olaso.
cannot do it Friday. I hope Councilor BG Gingona will allow us that courtesy of discussing this urgent matter on Friday.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes, Member Gingono.
Direct reaction. Actually, Mr. Chairman, apart from that, we have a scheduled committee hearing to hear the 2 flea market ordinances, the cultural complex, the solid waste amendment, and the Philippine Eagle conservation ordinances. However, Mr. Chairman, this is also in conflict with I believe some members are attending the DAC, the Development Academy online classes, and we have a schedule from 9 a.m. until 4:30 in the afternoon. So I was already in the idea, Mr. Chairman, na I will be postponing these committee hearings to give way to the DAC online classes. So I go along with the suggestion that we conduct it as a committee on the whole, so that hindi man compromise attendance del committee lang on peace and order. Baka some members there are fully participating in the DAC classes, Mr. Chairman. But nonetheless, I'm willing to postpone with the permission of the proponents of these proposed ordinances. So okay lang kung I understand Attorney Sang Jimenez for the Philippine Eagle, si Councilor Jerky Valesco for the cultural complex, si Councilor Macrohon for the solid waste amendment, and the 2 flea market ordinance. Okay lang kung man postpone kita stay.
Okay lang.
Give way to the mga proponents. Any objection to the cancellation?
No objection.
Okay lang, Mr. Chair.
Okay lang kung Councilor Litlit.
Okay lang, Mr. Chair. No problem.
Okay, Member Olaso, no objection. So let's dispose
Reschedule. I will reschedule.
Committee of the whole to be
Just a
presided by the chair of the Committee on Peace and Order. Okay? So, can you move?
I move according, Your Honor.
Second.
Before that, yes, Member De La Cruz.
Comment, sir. Comment. I'm very much happy that the punto de vista of Attorney Sang Jimenez was taken, because people are talking and there were 2 witnesses, our very own councilors. 2 of them signed as witnesses. So I have high respect for their signature and being witnesses. I suspect something big must have happened. And so an immediate investigation is in order.
Member Olaso? Member Olaso.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, for acknowledging me. Well, my comment pertaining to that appearance of the police personnel or whoever is involved in that recent activity, kaya yakuigan kala makita poking kabaya keda sukal. I don't think so na hindi sila pwede handa. They should come and they must come and attend this committee hearing, kasi we're talking about safety and security of the people of Zamboanga. We're not talking about projects here. We're not talking about makita otro panaki activities, but it's about security and safety of the people pertaining to drugs. Debe anda, then pedanda they mesegag orderly, diba? So they should come. I don't believe that they cannot come. That's a very big insult already for the city council. Hindi pa sila buyas de tiempo, kasi entero konseho at pili kanila para tendela talamadato na committee hearing. So with that, Mr. Chair, I move accordingly. Thank you.
There's a pending resolution first. Let me dispose of the resolution on the creation of the committee of the whole.
For the invitation, Mr. Chairman, I hope the invitation will be actually received, if not in person, by the one invited, to come
today.
by a responsible officer to reflect on the invitation as having received the invitation, so that if they do not appear, then that will be taken against such authority. We must be reminded how much the city is investing on this matter, and considering our concern, then we have to act properly on the matter. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So let me dispose of the motion creating the committee of the whole to discuss the matter to be presided by the chair of the Peace and Order Committee. Earlier, Friday, tentatively. No, any objection? The chair hears none. The same is hereby approved. Next item.
A resolution reiterating the City Council's urgent resolution over a month ago requesting Dr. Elmer Apolinario of CDRRMO to assign at least 2 personnel with Wi-Fi equipped laptops and printer at the city's Licomo border to issue e-passes to returning residents who have their medical requirements already. Whereas this representation queried early this morning and found out that up to this time, the same scenario of disgruntled returning residents prevail at our Licomo border. Whereas the non-possession of data or Android and smartphones, plus unfamiliarity in computer use of some residents, makes it almost impossible for them to communicate with CDRRMO to secure the required e-passes. And because of this, returning residents, to include senior citizens and infants, have to endure waiting from 2 to 6 days in corners near the border checkpoint. Your Honor, pobre man el mga gente. Kwanto beses siya kita sa tamang kwento aki? Hindi ba ta intende si Dr. Elmer Apolinario? Hindi ba ta intende ang CDRRMO? Kaya hindi todo gente tiene cellphone, tiene data. Kaya hindi todo gente sabe usa computer, sabe man email con el ciudad de Zamboanga. Por causa de ese, yan identify kita el problema. Pero hasta ahora, no hay kanaton asikaso. Kusa si quiere decir, no hay poder el sangguniang panglungsod. Taman request lang kita. Pero hindi taman request kita. Kwanto beses kita ta request, hindi ka naton tapon ni atensyon, ni hindi man ka naton kontesta lang man require. Chenebes ta pregunta yun na miyo cuerpo, kusa bagayot el poder del sangguniang panglungsod Chenebes. Kay Chenebes doon hindi makanaton ta asikaso, por eso taman pukpuk yo aura na disuyo puerta Dr. Elmer Apolinario Paboria tú, asigna 2 personas allí na Licomo border. ¿Por qué el City Health Office ta puede poner gente allá? ¿Por qué el Assessor's Office ta aumenta gente con el City Health? ¿Por qué el Veterinary's Office tali 24 horas by shift sila tali? ¿Por qué el CDRRMO que ta encabeza con ese todo? ¿Por qué no puede poner 2 gente allí? Makalástima con el mga bata, makalástima con el mga viejo idea. Era ele para allá, na checkpoint sa isdiya para sabele si Cosa, tasinti, mga residentes diato na kinasyudad de Zamboanga. I move accordingly, Your Honor.
Second.
Jointly and severally seconded. Next, Member 1, Clima Coelago.
Next resolution, Your Honor. El Samsel ko, yabla ka naton kwanto beses ya kay por eso daw ta perde kuryente, por eso daw ta mag-blackout.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I did not see your resolution. Sige. Proceed. I thought you were finished.
Kung hablayo, el Samsel ko, Your Honor, kwanto beses ka naton ta explica antes kay el rason porque tamang blackout kita por causa kay el mga pono, largo-largo ya, tambanggaan na mga wire diaton, takausa kun el short circuit. Ya promete sila kwanto beses ya kay sila taas siya todo manera. Last year pa kay Your Honor, kay sila ay aregla kun el sitwasyon. 2020 kita, el promesa 2019 pa el promesa dila. Pero hasta ahora, el mga gente, especialmente mga vivientes del costa del District 1, Your Honor, ta sale afectado kay pirmi blackout. Uno de ese mga tareklama kumigo pimina Facebook, tadali kayo todo el detalye si Kiora, quanto minuto, cosa dia el blackout. Your Honor, I don't need to be a rocket scientist, but it is quite obvious that up to this time, Samselco has not been able to address this. Namatuabla kada bes kay ulan, kay kada puerte viento, expecta ba kita kay man blackout? Ya pwede sila aregla un poco na District 2, kay alat baskin puerte el viento, kaya sa palpono na ground, pero tiene pa kami kuryente. Na pero how about people in District 1? Why cannot they address the same also for that area? So I move accordingly, Your Honor, requesting them to officially give reasons why we continue to experience power interruption every time there are strong winds and rains, and what they have been doing to address this problem. Some kind of a courteous request coming from the City Council for them to explain to the people of Zamboanga, to the City Council, why this problem still continue up to this time, Your Honor. I move accordingly.
Seconding members Dalipe, Valesco, Alavar, De La Cruz, Nuño. Comment, objection, there being none, the same is hereby approved. Last.
On the lighter side, Your Honor. I'm sure you know that Miss Universe, Catriona Gray, I think I know who drove her when she arrived, came to Zamboanga City for the Raise Your Flag program del Gobierno de Yaton in coordination with the Department of Trade and Industry. Un campaña donde, despite el COVID situation de Ciudad de Zamboanga, ya puede mandamira el maravillosa, el hermosura de la ciudad de Zamboanga y también el mga producto que hecho en esta ciudad de Zamboanga. So we are very proud and we are very grateful to Miss Universe Catriona Gray for choosing Zamboanga City, for the Raise Your Flag. So a resolution is in order expressing the City Council's or maybe the city's appreciation and thank Miss Universe Catriona Gray for choosing Zamboanga City. I move accordingly, Your Honor.
Jointly and severally seconded. Member 1, Clima Coelago.
Lighter side, Lago.
Your Honor, on the most lighter side, Your Honor. Your Honor, I have observed, Your Honor, that the DepEd has started giving out the modules, Your Honor. And I went through with some of the students who were doing some modules, Your Honor. I found out, Your Honor, those students whose parents are educated, bunamente sila tapos asel module, Your Honor. Pero liga arriba na kuruan, example lang, Your Honor, Kabaluhay, el mga parents, nung sabi, el module, Your Honor. Hindi tayo intende ko ng module. So, el estudyante, hindi tayo pwede man answer ko ng module. So, what I'm trying to think, Your Honor, is that kaya lang te palpak, si man assessment te man test, klaro lang at bagsak ang mga estudyante. Nako sa sel maestra, si bagsak ang estudyante, asikay ko na esos. I estimate, Your Honor, mga 60 to 50% del mga parents, especialmente Aribay Monte, Your Honor, no'y gradua high school. Swerte ya, siya pisa pa high school. Most ka, baka grade 6 lang. So with this, Your Honor, I was concerned, Your Honor. I was thinking there will be na radio. Pero yung na radio, it was kindergarten, Your Honor, no'y grade 3, no'y grade 4. So, I was a little bit perplexed, Your Honor, how the DepEd intends to conduct the education, Your Honor. Akal talyaman sila, kung sa talyaman sila, modular education, Your Honor. Because of this, Your Honor, I think it's proper that considering ta prinsipya pa lang, el klase, we can ask the DepEd to present to us how it will be done. The entire scheme from today up to, I think, June of 2022. What happens if majority bagsak? Pakilayal test. Sino ay test? Baka liga na punta, tiyan kita mga grade 6, di no read, no write. So, Your Honor, I'm asking for a resolution seeking from the DepEd, Zamboanga City Division, maybe through a committee hearing, to present their entire learning. Because last time when we met, Your Honor, together with Councilor Atilano, they were still preparing the module. They were still undergoing preparation. May pa sila kaba. So there was no module presented during the hearing. Now I want to see how they will present it, maybe a sample of the radio program or internet access, Your Honor. Whatever, how they will do it, Your Honor, we want to see. And whether or not majority of our students will be able to learn something from them. I move accordingly, Your Honor, that we refer this matter to the Committee on Education, Your Honor.
Refer lang, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, comment.
Referred to the committee.
Comment.
Referred already to the committee. So, we'll take it up at the committee level.
Comment.
Yes, already referred, Member Olaso, so there's no need to comment. Just take it up at the committee level. Member Gingona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have your resolution, Mr. Chairman, for commendation. I would like to propose a resolution commending and congratulating Dr. Ulmen Reef Luna Circulado, Civil Engineering Department Head of the Western Mindanao State University, for being the first and the youngest academician to earn a doctorate degree in the field of civil engineering in Zamboanga City and in the entire Zamboanga Peninsula. If I may, Mr. Chairman, read a few whereas clauses.
Yes, proceed.
Whereas the higher education institutions, or HEIs, play a pivotal role in providing technical assistance to the local government units in the crafting of the latter's development goals and objectives. In fact, HEIs serve as one of the LGU's staunchest partners in the furtherance and improvement of its services, projects, and programs. Whereas HEIs are known as a nestling ground of experts in various fields of specializations, namely fisheries, aquaculture, environmental science, engineering, health, law, education, to name a few. In effect, these human capital are consistently being tapped as a source of inputs and ideas in the day-to-day affairs of governance, from planning to policy making and implementation. Whereas HEIs serve as a lighthouse of young and vibrant individuals who tirelessly, diligently, and passionately immerse themselves in the rigors of formal studies and research in search of concrete solutions to the problems and issues besetting our own community. Whereas WIMSU, the only state-run university in the city, houses the College of Engineering, which has produced some of the most qualified and innovative engineers in various fields in the entire region. Whereas the incumbent department head of WIMSU's Civil Engineering Program, Dr. Ulmen Reef Luna Circulado, a civil engineer by profession, and who previously earned a master's degree in engineering, major in civil engineering, in the Iligan Institute of Technology of Mindanao State University, or MSU-IIT, through a scholarship grant from CHED, also recently earned his doctorate degree in engineering, specialization in civil engineering from the same university. Whereas MSU-IIT is known for being as one of the premier and leading tertiary academic institutions offering engineering courses in the country alongside Mapua University, De La Salle University, and UP Diliman. whereas Mrs. Elvira Lubaton, Human Resource Management Officer 3 of the WIMSU, issued a certification dated October 5, 2020, attesting that Dr. Circulado, among others, is the only doctorate degree holder in engineering with specialization in civil engineering in WIMSU as of present day. Whereas the Commission on Higher Education, mandated by law to regulate HEI's operations, likewise issued a certification dated October 5, 2020, through its OIC Regional Director, Dr. Roddy P. Garcia, attesting that as per record of the K-12 Transition Program Scholarship for Graduate Studies, Dr. Circulado is the first grantee to finish the aforementioned program from the city of Zamboanga and Zamboanga Peninsula as a whole. Dr. Circulado is only 33 years old as of present time, thus making him as the first and the youngest so far academician to earn a doctorate degree in engineering, major in civil engineering in Zamboanga City, and again, the entire Zamboanga Peninsula. Last year, Dr. Circulado, with his paper entitled Large-Scale Prototype Testing of a Composite Geosynthetics Reinforced Earth Structure for Riverbank Slope Protection using fine-grained sandy soil, was awarded as best paper in the 12th Philippines Network of Educators on Environment International Conference and Scientific Meeting held in Palawan State University, using specific flood-prone areas in Zamboanga City as basis of his research. Now, therefore, Mr. Chairman, upon motion of this humble representation, may I request the members of this august body to jointly and severally resolve to commend and congratulate Dr. Unenrif Luna Circulado for being the first and the youngest so far academician to earn a doctorate degree in engineering in the field of civil engineering in Zamboanga City and Zamboanga Peninsula as a whole. I move accordingly, Mr. Chairman.
Jointly and severally seconded. 33 years old, G?
Yes, 33 lang, Vice. And then siguro, Vice, we can tap him, no? Kay manada kita ki mga slope protection akal takadamalo dayon. So I think his knowledge, his expertise, and his experience at a very young age can greatly help our city when it comes to this kind of projects.
Okay, jointly and severally seconded.
Thank you, guys.
Next member, Balesco.
Thank you very much. A resolution requesting the City Engineer's Office to immediately check the road condition at Zone 1, Zamboanga. Vice, we have a picture of the situation, road condition at Zone 1, Zamboanga. And the soil-based or the land-based terrain in that area is muddy, affecting hundreds of residents since it is difficult for them to traverse using that very road, Mr. Chair. And I move that we request the City Engineer's Office to immediately check the area and help find solution to make the road passable for people. And Mr. Presiding Officer, this is also the concern of Councilor Villaflores, Councilor Piok, and of course the concern also of the Chairman of Public Works, Councilor Monsi de la Cruz. So I move that we earnestly ask the City Engineer Office for appropriate and urgent action on the matter, Mr. Chair. I move accordingly.
Jointly and severally seconded.
Mr. Chair, I have another one here, just a reiteration because we have seen a lot of garbage and waste around the city proper, and perhaps it would also be fruitful for the City Council to pass a resolution of reiteration because there were already at least 3 resolutions on the similar matter, similar nature, that we need to put garbage bins in the strategic areas in the city, like the Boulevard, Mr. Chair. So I move accordingly, Mr. Chair.
Jointly and severally seconded. Member Dalite.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A resolution earnestly requesting the Department of Health, Region 9, to reevaluate the emergency health response of the City Health and the City Disaster Risk Reduction Management Office, Barangay Health Response Team in the City of Zamboanga to assure the safety of the patients and personnel. Whereas the timely mobilization and deployment of appropriate response teams are crucial in saving lives and in reducing the impact of the emergency. Failure in this surely jeopardize the effectiveness and efficiency of the overall response. There are basic elements that need to be reestablished and reevaluate to ensure the efficient and effective mobilization of the response team. This includes the proper organization of the teams, which entails identifying the right category of team to be deployed, clarifying their expected roles and functions, and setting and applying the criteria to be used in selecting the respective members. This must be followed by their proper and timely deployment, monitoring their movements and assistance until post-emergency phase, and proper documentation upon pull-out from the sites. Whereas these rules and regulations are promulgated to protect the public and assure the safety of patients and personnel by setting the minimum standards and requirements for ambulances and ambulance service providers, and ensuring the safety of patients, personnel, and the general public. Whereas the programs and trainings under the DOH HEMS that were institutionalized to the local government units are basic life support, community first responder, health emergency preparedness response, nutrition in emergency, emergency medical responder, medical first responder, emergency medical technician, water and sanitary hygiene emergency, and surveillance in extreme emergencies and disaster. Whereas, considering the importance of these protocols on health emergency response, especially during this challenging time of pandemic, hence there is a high need to reevaluate existing protocols to ensure that the incident happened last October 1, 2020, where a 64-year-old woman died on the spot in Governor Lim Avenue due to the delay of health emergency response. So el jaton response una kel mujer dia mujer en kansa 1 hour and 40 minutes. Para kumingo bien tired dagat el response and makatriste. We are a highly urbanized city, one of the richest, pero el response bien tarda. 1 hour and 40 minutes. I move accordingly, Mr. Chairman.
Jointly and severally seconded.
Another resolution, Mr. Chairman, resolution recalling resolution number 1367.
Jointly and severally seconded. Next, Member Pio.
Oo na. Thank you, Mr. Chair. JMC 2019-01 of 2019 of the Department of Budget and Management, Department of Interior and Local Government, and National Youth Commission, and in accordance with Section 20 of the Republic Act 10742, otherwise known as the SK Reform Act of 2015, which states that the 10% of the general fund of the barangay shall be set aside for the SK. The sangguniang barangay shall appropriate the SK funds in lump sum, which shall be disbursed solely for youth development and empowerment purposes, and as the same law provides that the SK shall have the financial independence in its operations, disbursements, and encashments of their fund income and expenditures. This representation similarly filed the same request last March 9, 2020 to the Department of Interior and Local Government to issue a memorandum to all barangay treasurers to enforce and impose the Joint Memorandum Circular number 2019-01 in relation to the remaining balance of SK funds of the different barangays. The law are clear and definitely, and this continuous restraint from the barangay in appropriating the SK funds should not hamper the SK in the initiation and implementation of its programs projects that are designed to promote the general welfare, development, and empowerment of the youth. This request is opposite to the entreaty of various members of the Sangguniang Kabataan in the city because, accordingly, there are barangays that are reluctant in relenting the funds of the SKs, which is intended for the youth development and empowerment. And accordingly, Mr. Chair, complaint del mga SK officials, especialmente el SK chairman, na hasta ahora, nung kere pa siyempre si Cap man transfer ko nel pondo de SK. Si Cosa el Causa, nung sabi kita, Mr. Chair, kaya I believe, LDM yung mga SKs, yan comply sila con todo requirements, cosa necesita, para abri individual account para del SK na kadaykwal barangay. And up until now, si Cap, nung kere siyempre, man transfer el pondo del SK na kadaykwal. And for information, Mr. Chair, tiyan pa mga savings from 2016, 2017, 18, 19 na debe man transfer yakal na SK funds. Pero up until now, the same nung kere pa siyempre si Cap. With this, Mr. Chair, a resolution earnestly requesting the Department of Interior and Local Government and the Department of Budget and Management to strictly monitor all barangays in their compliance to the enforcement imposition of the DILG, DBM, and NYC Joint Memorandum Circular Number 2019-01 in relation to the appropriation of SK funds and the transfer of SK funds to SK account of the different barangays. I move accordingly, Mr. Chair.
Jointly and severally seconded.
Health experts are constantly reminding the public of the importance of frequent hand washing, especially during this time of the pandemic. It is simple yet very effective way to prevent from acquiring and transmitting the disease, not just coronavirus but also diarrhea, cholera, and typhoid. During COVID-19, the infectious disease outbreak, the presence and access of the public to a portable hand washing facility with soap and reliable source of water are among most effective emergency response. And also, Mr. Chair, I found out that Member Valesco also requested the same to install portable hand washing, foot bath, and other related health equipments or materials, but up until now, there's no response. Hindi visible na di aton publiko, especialmente na di aton public market. Pirmi kita tan advoka kunal di aton mga vivientes na necesita si pwede labamano pirmi before entrap, before kosa sila agara. Iusa kosa pa necesita para pwede protehel dila salud, pero kita mismo hindi tadali kanila ekwipo onde sila pwede kunakel usa. This resolution, Mr. Chair, is a reiteration requesting the Office of the City Engineer through the City Mayor to install portable hand washing and other related health facilities, equipments, and materials in public markets, schools, and government offices as tool of promoting public health amid COVID-19 pandemic. I move accordingly, Mr. Chair.
Jointly and severally. Amendment?
In the resolution, we request the City Hall through the Engineer's Office to install the facilities in public markets, schools. I think schools, Mr. Chair, we will have a separate resolution. We will ask DepEd to also do their part also. Insofar as the public market is concerned and other government offices, I think the city can provide that facility. But for the schools, because kaya sabi ka nyo ara, mucho nga ikita pwede alcohol ka ng mga city councilors and any disinfectant pwede because they are going to put up their own hand washing facilities in the respective schools. I think schools should not be included here if, I don't know, because we have to have a separate resolutions addressed to division, to the Department of Education. I don't know. I don't know if it is
Depend
Yes,
the
Mr. Chair.
proponent.
We will have a separate resolution.
Before the proponent, I just would like to provide additional information. I was informed that in the proposed budget for next year, other structures included GL mga hand washing facilities.
Yes. So
To include schools.
into schools. So if in case schools, Mr. Chair, I'm withdrawing my proposed amendments.
Member Valesco.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Actually, the resolution which this council approved when this representation introduced was for the city to put up hand washing stations at the public places like public market with complete foot bath and of course hand sanitizer. And of course, we also encouraged even private establishments. And the more that we also encouraged for barangay halls to also put hand washing stations. So Mr. Chair, just to be consistent, the term that we should use here is hand washing stations, Mr. Chair, in the barangays. And of course, we also encourage even some Selco, even areas where people would converge, Mr. Chair. So it's a general appeal, Mr. Chair, especially to private establishments. However, the end and bottom line substance of this resolution is that we cannot go on doing all this awareness campaign without us seeing a physical hand washing station, physical facility of this hand washing station, Mr. Chair. So it's very timely that Councilor Pioc has brought again this issue, and I hope that the City Council would stand as one on this matter, Mr. Chair, and I'm very glad that no less than the presiding officer has informed this august body that the city government has even considered this as a priority, Mr. Chair.
Any objection? The chair hears none. The same is hereby approved. Next, Member Macrohon.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, kung todo panel di aton mga uban. Mr. Chair, dahil Saturday, cuando yapasayo kina Santa Cruz intersection going Tetuan, kaya di mo yung more de Tetuan, kapag lang yung notice el developmental na intersection, ancho ya kay dahil di aton mga Camino because of the widening project of DPWH, especially akil di aton na kinakamins area, almost 100% ya complete, no? On the other side, akilaki on the Tetuan Highway, I think more or less on my assessment, mga 50% pa lang. But there are concerns, Mr. Chair, na pwede yung man notice uno yung upon to be loop some cell post kaya pa na medyo de Camino. And then also the cold storage building del city government, may patamen pwede quebra el portion or man remove el portion del building. And also el di aton plano kami del construction del flyover project. Esta tamen, Mr. Chair, el mga concerns yakordayo yan raise el DPWH few days ago cuando ya bisita few members of the council, no, DPWH office. I think taga si Councilor Monsi as the chairman del infra, taga si Cons John Dalipe, si Consehal Jerky, si Consehal Caripiok, no, pati iyo. So this is mga concerns na pwede tamen sila man mention, no, el samsel popos, el cold storage building, pati el plano yung era para prinsipyo tamen el construction del flyover projects. Which is exactly, Mr. Chair, amual di mio resolution. Una-una, regarding na samsel popos, man request era yung kunel samsel ko para man pakya ko nakel, pero hindi alang yung stay pa sa Mr. Chair, kaya lang may din yung staff na samsel ko. Fortunately, kanya sila commitment na baka by Saturday, mag-start naman sila, no, relocation del akil mga remaining affected posts. So hindi alang yung klase pa sa Mr. Chair. And then yung second resolution, Mr. Chair, regarding cold storage, building, the Atun del City Government. A resolution respectfully recommending Your Honor the City Mayor issuance. A resolution, Mr. Chair, respectfully recommending Your Honor the City Mayor to grant DPWH the necessary clearance or permit or authority o sa base tabla at the soonest possible time to remove portion of the cold storage building and other structures to give way for the completion of the road widening project at Santa Cruz intersection.
Yan move ya ba si litlit? Yan hang leng, yan hang. So there is a motion by Member Macrohon for regarding the cold storage. Any second? Seconding members Pareja, Valesco, De La Cruz, Vincent Polilago, Atilano, Alavar, Ingona, Olaso, Hanapi. Comment?
Your Honor,
Elago, then Valesco.
I have no problem with the Samselco post, Your Honor.
Hindi, Samselco, hindi man pasay. We are now at the cold storage.
And cold storage, Your Honor. Your Honor,
Mr. Chair.
for the I'd just like to point, Your Honor, we have not received as a project de antes pa sa Your Honor, widening, we have not received any DPWH request kikebra ko ng cold storage. Because we know, kasi ang construct, akal tupaw lang at the cold storage, pero hindi nisisita kebra. Why are we now offering to destroy a portion or to demolish a portion of the cold storage? We have not received any request from DPWH for the same, Your Honor. I have to decline, Your Honor, unless we receive a letter, a direct request. And the mayor, through the city legal, will endorse it to us. That's the time we make a resolution, Your Honor.
Member Valesco, then giving way to Monty. Member De La Cruz.
For the information of Attorney Kim, the city government has received already the payment, 70% of the few millions for that demolition of the building. And there has been an official request. For the information of Councilor Elago also, when we went there, they reiterated their official request so that the funds allotted for that road improvement would not be reverted to Manila. There is already an official request. They have made a second request. They have paid already for the damages that would be incurred in the demolition of it.
Member Valesco? Huh? Any other comment?
Thank you.
Yes.
Your Honor, if that is the case, Your Honor, I'm sitting in the Committee on Agriculture, Your Honor. We have to, we signed a memorandum of agreement with the City Agriculture, the DA, Your Honor, national, and there's a machine inside there that's a cold storage facility, Your Honor. Just as a consequence, Your Honor, where is our new cold storage? Kay sabi ang makita, once quebra sa structure, the machineries will be exposed to the elements. Sayang el cold storage machines. Bulok yata man si kita. I don't know. Maybe we'll just pass a resolution after approving this, Your Honor. I reserve, Your Honor, for purposes of the cold storage lang, Your Honor.
Yes, Member Eding.
In addition to the manifestation of Councilor Kim, I believe Chinical Plano man construct nuevo cold storage facilities na detras. I do not know lang no si Cosa Gadalyatene agreement, pero per information niya ginda kumigo kay Chene Plano Chene tamen pondo kay pone and amogane kel papidi que construyan el nuevo cold storage facilities before el dismantling del existing cold storage facilities. Kay tupaw kel kumukosebra si Councilor Kim Elago, kay Chenely equipo adrento, baka por causa kaya man dismantle kita, baka aseba desayang the existing cold storage facilities. Kaya doon nakanaton el Department of Agriculture.
Member Villaflores.
I think there's no harm in passing this resolution because the mere fact, based on the manifestation of Member De La Cruz, because I would vote based on his manifestation that there was already a request, and in fact, the DPWS reiterated through the councilors who visited the area para bungke con ese, and the mere fact that 70% of the total amount que debe paga el DPWH, si por ejemplo Bungka, including probably the property, el CRIS, has already been paid to the government, meaning we don't have to worry si on the constituent because the mere fact they receive, that very money will be used for the construction of new facilities. It could be aligned because it will be used for that purpose really. So that's why I will vote in favor because of the statement, manifestation of Member De La Cruz that there was already. This is the concern of Member Lago. If that concern was not addressed, baka I have some reservation because I want an official request from the DPWH for the demolition of the facilities. But because Chenya man, so there's no harm. Thank you, Your Honor.
Member De La Cruz, you're raising your hand.
Just a comment, Mr. Chair.
After De La Cruz.
I have confided to Dr. Elmer that this demolition should be done soon because there are funds allotted by the national government which are scheduled to be reverted, and there are many other cities who would like to have the funding. And Zamboanga has been entitled to so many fundings. If we are not very quick in acting on the endowments given by the national government, then we miss the opportunity, you know. So I'm sure that Her Honor the Mayor and I talked personally with our secretary here to talk with Elmer and the Mayor. I think something can be done. Thank you.
Member Olaso.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. Well, pertaining to the cold storage at Santa Cruz, Macsacan, as a former chairman of Committee on Market and Slaughterhouse, I discussed that already with the former Kalamakita de la Quelo del Market na Santa Cruz officer in charge. And we discussed upon it na tiene se budget, if I'm not mistaken, 8 million pesos para na cold storage. But the problem is, aquel 8 million de peso budget, all falta aquel kasi jutay el cold storage keda. So, yan, inspect kita ko ng cold storage that time. Manada kita dito sa mga vegetables, aquel dato mga local farmers, sabi vosotros, generate nila mga vegetable tapon nili. Not only vegetables, but including aquel mga meat tapon también ali. So, okay lang. Yeah, if I remember, I spoke that once to our city mayor pertaining the cold storage sa pwede kita dali budget uminta na 8 million para pwede po nila siya un poco grande, Mr. Chair. That's all, Mr. Chair, for my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comment? Objection? The chair hears none. The same is hereby approved. Member Elagi, you were reserving your right.
Yes, Your Honor. I move, as a consequence of the approval of that motion, Your Honor, I move, Your Honor, requesting the city mayor and the city engineer or through the city engineer to immediately
Construct.
make the necessary construction or plans of construction, Your Honor, for the new cold storage, Your Honor. Facility. Cold storage.
You move accordingly. Jointly and severally seconded. Next, Member Macron.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pasensya lang yung blackout aki, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the support in approving the first resolution. For the second resolution, Mr. Chair, a resolution respectfully recommending Her Honor the City Mayor the issuance of the necessary executive order for the closure of portion of the road at the soonest possible time, particularly at the Camins area, to allow the DPWH to start the construction of flyover projects, Mr. Chair. Whereas the flyover projects can be a major development for the city, especially in addressing traffic concerns, this project has been delayed for almost 2 years, Mr. Chair, and its funding might be subjected for diversion of funds if this project will not be going to start this year. Whereas, as per inspection also, Mr. Chair, last Saturday, the road widening in Camins is almost 100% complete. Whereas the city could also take advantage of the situation wherein we are on a modified general community quarantine, wherein lesser vehicles are on the road, which makes flow of traffic more manageable. Now, therefore, on motion by Member Joselito Macron, Mr. Chair, resolved to propose a resolution respectfully recommending Her Honor the City Mayor the issuance of the necessary executive order for the closure of portion of road at the soonest possible time, particularly at the Camins area, to allow the DPWH to start the construction of flyover projects. Subject to style, Mr. Chair, I move accordingly.
Any second? Seconding members Nuño, Vincent Paul Ilago, Alabar, Pioc de la Cruz, Gingona, Polaso, Valesco. Comment? Objection? The chair hears none. The same is hereby approved. Next, Member
Thank you,
Pareja.
Mr. Chair.
Last.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The other day, Mr. Chair, one of the barangay Kagawad of Barangay Talisayan came biya kumigo pictures del un planta na Talisayan. Tan emit negro umo estaba na coal-fired boiler. So, ese un planta desde antes, Mr. Chair, na como problema agad se bira-bira lang li LEMB, including the City Health, bira-bira, but we do not know siyan follow ya bagayod el standard no as imposed by the EMB. So, SL picture, Mr. Chair, del planta, sabi kita, el humo de ese, Mr. Chair, otro gader olor. Mas yede pa na yede, el olor del humo del coal. So, that's why el mga residente di aton ala na dumagsa, particularly na Purukwan del Barangay Talisayan, including hasta dumagsa area del Barangay Ayala, bien afectado con este emission que tiene alina un planta. So that's why I would like to pass a resolution earnestly requesting the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Environmental Management Bureau, Region 9, and the City Health to check on the canning factories in the city, particularly those who are using coal-fired boiler. Siguro nasabi yun, daw todo yaman, no? So, if they have the necessary documents and if they follow the environment and pollution standards, Mr. Chair, I move accordingly.
Jointly and...
Comment, Mr. Chair. Comment.
Comment, Member Olaso.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Good morning. Pertaining to that plant, with the picture itself, I'm very familiar which plant is that. Basically, as you know, we're conducting an inspection on all the canning factories in the west and in the east. And we have found out that this plant is non-compliance pertaining to environmental pollution. Basically, datong CTL mismo, pwede ako neste planta, mira, kaya tapos si sila el pescao, alegalmente, el pescao medyo tanbulok ya. So, cheneste ya City Health datong report to temporary shut this plant. Kasi amos el reklamo del deato na Barangay Talisayan, not only Barangay Talisayan, but including Barangay Ayala. Kasi during this time, chening kita report na pwede kita the same situation as a coal-fired boiler. Taong niya katadina datong planta. So that is really bad for the health. That is very cancerous as a humo del coal. Na actualmente, talyasin na City Mayor, according ni na City Health, talyasin na City Mayor sa aton kasi para pwede ako na siya kasi pwede kita ko na siya sa raya planta kasi ben abusaw ya kasi sobre se hindi lang ang dato oil fired boiler el problema pa kita di lang mapescaw yan na sila kusi na chain na differential pescaw Mr. Chair. So thank you so much again Mr. Chair for acknowledging me and I move accordingly. Thank you. Mr. Chair?
Any other comment? Member Tilano?
Mr. Chair, I experienced dealing with this when I was kagawad in Barangay Ayala, wherein when you give that to ENB, agriculture, Kosapakel del fisheries, no? Nay kosa tapasa. You know what I did, Mr. Chair? I sent a right letter to ISO where they are accredited. Because if there are complaints coming from the area, then directly where they are accredited with the ISO, then action will be taken immediately. In fact, that plant was closed for 1 month to comply. They complied all the requirements because ISO will not allow them to operate if there is concern like that, Mr. Chair. Kaya alya, no pwede as a house yaw, no? And we know these mga international certifying agency, they are really true to their work. Hindi man yung tabla kaya hindi kasi trabaho alya itong mga ahensya, pero approve kita sa kwando barangay kagawad kita na Ayala, I think hermano de ese planta, no, ya puede ser ansina tamen yang emit tamen el call, no, ya pwede kita saka sample, then we wrote government agencies concerned plus ISO. Action will be taken, I am sure.
Any other comment?
Comment, Mr. Chair. Comment, Mr. Chair. Last comment.
Hindi, sa yung
Mr. Chair.
proponent. So, tinatanggap mo yung amendment. Accepted? Accepted. Yes, Member Olaso.
Thank you so much. Mr. Chair, for your very clear clarification to the members, to the honorable members, then yung point kayo of that, tato mga aksyon dato na City Health Office, dato na EMB, dato na OCNR, dato na Fisheries, because when we conducted inspection last March, sa Corda 2, banda kita sera konel, April, not March, April, banda kita sera konel 1 factorial din na Ayala, ese na dumagsa, el Great Way. And yato ma-action na lahat ng gobyerno, el dato mga ahensya, daligat el report, sera kita konel Great Way, hasta ahora sera el Great Way, Mr. Chair. Now, ahora, Kenya, dali tamin dato na at talang makita, report dato na City Health Office na banda sira ko na sa uno factoria kay por causa gani hindi sila tang comply na environmental pollution. Not only the environmental pollution for the sake of legislation yung nakita inspection na including nilang mga garbages, they're not complying with. Buta sila na nila mga waste disposal, that is illegal discharge. Por eso, ya habla la Kelo, ya habla la City Health, sera kita con este factoría. Now, ahora ese recommendation, accordingly na City Health, talya na datong City Mayor's Office and na datong City Administrator. So, it's up to them to act accordingly. If they want to close it, pwede sila sira dayon. If they don't want, then nakikita ko sa pwede because that is under the City Mayor and the City City kung mga Apple Goya la dato na talama kita la recommendation. So ang may lang kita espera Mr. Chair para pwede kita toma action con ese factoría. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Any other comment, objection? There being none, the same is hereby approved. Sorry, may I remind the members to provide the presiding officer a copy of your proposed resolution so that I will not miss out. I just got, ara lang i-receive yung copy, still proposed resolution, the member Alabar. I almost adjourned the session.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Proceed.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sabi, olvida conmigo. Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to sponsor a resolution addressed to the City Disaster Risk Reduction Management Office to review on our quick response protocol in the city of Zamboanga. It has been noted that last week, a 64-year-old woman, a certain Lola Bantoto of Barangay San Roque, was found lifeless in Governor Lim Avenue in the city. It took several hours for the CDRRMO ambulance to respond, and another 45 minutes to extract Lola Bantoto from the site. This is just some of the situations that the CDRRMO is not responding on time, such as the rock slide that happened in Barangay Tigbalabag, Nabuya, the strong winds that toppled trees and utility poles in Barangay Kabaluhay and Taluksangay, Nabuya, and the flash flood that happened in Barangay Talisayan, Abuya. Hence, the need to review our quick response protocol in the city and to submit to the City Council a written report on what happened to Lola Bantoto, because as what we have known, that yesterday the mayor asked Doc Elmer to give a definite answer on what happened to that poor woman last week. No? Subject to style, I move accordingly.
Comment, Second Piok, Nunyo, Vincent Paulelago, Macrohon, Gingona. Comment, Member Pareho.
Just to correct, Mr. Chair, no, with due respect to my friend, Councilor Alabar, in Barangay Talisayan, the CDRMO, Talasila, they were the ones who helped, no, para man pwede saka ko nakel di aton sick old woman, yaliba sila akel daw rubber boat, para pwede, onde pwede po ni akel vieja, very sick. So, ya pwede kita ebakwa ala na Talisayan Elementary School, tala CDRMO during that time.
I was referring, Mr. Chair, during the first hour, the wee hours, na Yayamael mismo barangay, si Kap mismo yan daabla kay kung Yayama sila na CDRMO, yabla kanila, si Kaya man el barangay man handle ko na situation, na flash flood, hindi lang sila abuya kay Chene COVID meeting.
Okay, but at the time, okay, Mr. Chair, during the flash
Thank
flood...
you for the added information.
During the flash flood in Talisayan, the no less than the barangay captain acknowledged that they can handle the situation.
Yes.
They were even calling me at that Takio na session, Mr. Chair, okay lang daw sila, kaya sila sitwasyon. That was the situation in Barangay Talisayan. But just to say, Talya LCDRMO na Barangay Talisayan, niya ayuda man rescue ka na Kalbieha. Thank you.
Any other comment? Yes, Member Balet.
Medyo alarmaw lang yung kuneste the way we responded. We, because we are part and parcel of city government services. Este issue yan iba ka natin si Councilor Alabar. Seryoso este because of the expectation of the people and much more
well-equipped el Consejo ya suporta mucho con na tema del mga request nila for equipment. And then comes an emergency situation na we need to improve the system. So my suggestion, being a former president of the Red Cross Emergency Rescue Team, I would suggest that Councilor Alabar and the Committee on the Peace and Order and those who are interested, members of the City Council, to help improve the system of this particular office. If Councilor Alabar would subscribe, we should meet with the emergency team of the disaster office.
Yes.
For them to show to us the systems, operating systems during emergencies, so that we can also comment. We are part of the city government. So we are not here just to criticize, just to poke at what mistakes, at what missteps that we are committing. But it is also our obligation to help correct, to help improve the system. And I'm very glad that Member Alabar has brought this to front, which is a matter of serious nature, a matter of serious concern. So I hope that Councilor Alabar would submit to the proposal, to the suggestion that we meet them, and for this rescue team of the disaster office to present to us their standard operating procedure during emergency cases, Mr. Chair.
Yes, I fully subscribe, Mr. Chair.
Any other comment?
Councilor Velez.
Objection? Comment? Member Villaflores.
I think not only the disaster, because we'll be focusing on disaster, there are other teams that also responding in cases of emergencies, like the one what happened to Lola Bantoto. Member Valesco would mention about Red Cross. So, kasi nasabi kita kung kanya lamang, because I presume kanya police around. So the police is equipped with radio. Nasabi ta kung kanya lamang, they called up General Hospital, Medical Center Rescue Team, the ambulance, or the because kanya naman sila. So, aside from the CDRM mo, imbitatan kita otro so that una best lang sila man meet, no? To find out as to the system on doing some responding emergency, like what had happened to that old woman. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other comment?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Objection?
As per information, Mr. Chair, the location where Lola Bantoto where they found Lola Bantoto, the management del Chenda, yayama sila una, accordingly, no, yayama sila una kung ng CDRRMO. But unfortunately, several hours, no hay kanya abuya. And kodoya abuya, it took them 45 minutes, no, para man-extract ko ng body. Assuming si COVID manakel, dapat we are equipped, no, at this point in time, we are equipped. Sabi kita ko sa ase, kasi naman mga PPEs available para to respond. And supposed to be, si Chene mga ansina sitwasyon, una ta-check kita si El Vieja ba ay pwede paliba na hospital o hindi. Kaya only a medical doctor can declare na si muerto ya o hindi. But unfortunately, yan diretso daw na punelaria con El Vieja, no. So there are lapses siguro, no, and a proper investigation or review should be done, no, in this office. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other comment? Objection? There being none, the same is hereby approved.
Yes, one more, Mr. Chair, last. I would like to sponsor a resolution addressed to our City Mayor, Maria Isabel Climaco Salazar, through the City Disaster Risk Reduction Management Office to finally utilize and operate our evacuation center in Kabatangan for transition shelter purpose. There is a Pag-asa data that I got. It's with me. I will furnish the City Council later. There's a Pag-asa data that shows that Zamboanga City will experience La Nina from October to March 2021.
heavy rainfall is expected to hit the city and many flood-prone barangays will be affected. Hence, the need to prepare our evacuation center in Kabatangan to address the safety of the citizen during complex evacuation processes following natural or man-made disaster in the city. Subject to style, I move accordingly.
Seconding, members Villa Flores, Nuno, Vincent Poyarago, Piok, De La Cruz. Comment?
Second.
Objection. Seconding also Olaso.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Second, Hanapi.
Second, Hanapi.
Ken pa ba?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Gingona, Macrohon, Hanapi. Jointly and severally seconded. Okay. Any other I missed? No more? The council session is adjourned. Ha? Personalan niya.